Good evening and welcome. You're watching Breaking Views with me, Sanket Upadhyay, the show where we get you all the views so that you get the complete picture. And you know, the thing is, as far as picture is concerned, the picture in Bengaluru is crystal clear. With the help of an animation, we are going to put on screen right now an animation. This is, of course, an animation map which compares how Bengaluru was in the 60s, 70s, and more recently in 1995. And how in 2015 the map or the landscape changes. You see, this is a city of lakes. And the lakes were usurped by builders, greedy politicians who all became builders when this became the IT capital. And they started rampant construction and more buildings and unorganized colonies, colonies that were unregulated, eating into the, what was supposed to be lakes. And then eventually what happened? It rained. These lakes were natural water bodies. And when you have dried up the water bodies, the water will go somewhere, no? So I will tell you what is happening. So whether it is pre-monsoon showers, monsoon showers, let's quickly put those pictures on screen right now, or post-monsoon showers. Let's go full frame to this. This is the reality. You will construct buildings on lakes. Where do you expect the water to go? The water rightfully is going into the lake only. Now it is not the water's mistake that greedy Bengaluru has decided to construct buildings on the lake body. And thus you have this repeated situation, whether it is pre-monsoon showers, during monsoon or post-monsoon, the story is the same. This, ladies and gentlemen, which was once a big showcase to the world, the IT capital of this country, is now a sinking, dead city. Bengaluru is dying, it is gasping for breath, and it is drowning. This is the reality. And this is a live example in front of us of what not to do to a city. And that is the tragedy, the chronicle of a death foretold. Let's quickly look at the other animation, because that animation will tell you, that between 1995 and 2015, how these black spots were the rampant construction on water bodies. In fact, passageways for the water. And how slowly the construction increased. This is man-made, whatever is happening to Bengaluru. So do we now admit that this city is officially dead? Or can something be done about this city that was once a big showcase for the world? I would like to introduce Mr. Prasad Bidappa, fashion and textile consultant, Raj Bhagat, senior manager and geoanalytics, sustainable cities. These pictures that we were showing on your screen right now, the animation, are courtesy Raj Bhagat. Thank you so much, Raj. We had used this animation in an earlier broadcast also, or during the monsoon when we last met, and that was only last month. So it's like a monthly cycle that we see in Bengaluru. Arpan Srivastava, Vice President and Head of Product, Zoom Car. Saurabh Kumar, Director of Pothole Raja, because this is also a very significant problem in Bengaluru. And Priya Chetty Rajagopal is a concerned citizen, founder of Heritage Beku. Prasad Bidappa, I would like to begin with you first. Can we now officially declare the end of Bengaluru city?
Well, I think that would be a bit of a premature sort of prediction. We're not quite dead yet. We're rapidly heading there. But I think that we're going to do everything that we can to halt that trend. And with people like Priya and all of us helping to put it back on track, the Mohandas Pais, the Kiran Majumdars, I still have hope. We live in hope.
Sure. I mean, hope against hope. But, the biggest problem is that this has become, first it was an annual feature for us to report on Bengaluru. Now it is a monthly feature for us to report on Bengaluru. Let's hope it does not become a daily feature that you have flooded streets, because the water is supposed to be in the lakes. Now if you construct, Raj Bhagat, I want to come to you now. Would you like to explain your animation, and while we speak to you, we can in fact put that animation on screen of how we let this problem emerge in the first place? Now you can't blow up those buildings. So what do you do?
So sure, I mean, see, Bangalore is actually on the top of the ridge. So the topography of the city matters a lot. And when water is supposed to flow, it's supposed to flow in certain, in these valleys. It is across these valleys that the lakes were built. So I mean, all the lakes in Bangalore are artificial and they were constructed for irrigation purpose. But it is those valleys that are actually very critical for the city. I mean, that is where the water is supposed to flow when there is a good amount of rainfall. Unfortunately, over the years, these valleys were once agricultural land. Once agriculture lost its prominence, it was all converted into built-up area, right? Like, so, I mean, everyone wants to be a part of the change, right? Like, I mean, it's a high amount of real estate business that's going on. So people constructed over these valleys, and that's the blockage. I mean, one is with respect to the buildings, and the other is actually with the government services itself, like how roads are constructed, etc., etc. So when we construct all these things, we are just blocking it. We are changing the topography significantly, and basically it is the water flow that has been affected. So you can see in these animations, what you see as the green sections are those valleys, and it was over there the water is supposed to flow. And we were not supposed to construct. Of course, it had to be addressed in the planning process, which we didn't. I mean, it is not just a Bangalore story, actually. This year, of course, we are seeing Bangalore, but a lot. This will happen in every city. I mean, the next one due is actually Chennai. And post this, I mean, during the southwest monsoon, you can hear more from Hyderabad or Mumbai and other cities. So it's a problem that is happening in every city. It is a problem with respect to how we do planning, governance in our urban context.
Correct.
And that is the problem. I mean, the planning, the master plans and other documents are supposed to answer it. You need to have a stormwater management plan and a clear-cut proposal for how stormwater drains have to be designed. But most of our cities lack that plan. So what we have is just arbitrary notions like once something happens, they start digging something, or they bring in bulldozers, and those kind of ad hoc measures is what is happening. But it had to be addressed in the planning document, but which it hasn't. So that is the reason what you're seeing right now.
Okay, Arpan Srivastav, I want to come to you now. You see, this is a city which attracted a lot of business opportunities, which is the reason why there was the boom, which is the reason why there was construction. And now that rampant construction is proving to be the biggest impediment. I mean, last month, I clearly remember many of these big CEOs had to leave home in a tractor. Right. Now, these scenes, when they play out internationally, what message do they give? Or is this now a global reality? That in boardrooms, you have companies who say to themselves, well, there was flooding in New York also. So why not?
But I think Bangalore is particularly bad, right? And I think it does not send a positive message at all. In fact, this has become a persistent feature where whenever global companies are essentially doing their planning of, shifting any work to India, they are obviously impacted by the negative news coming out of Bangalore. And they're like, hey, is this a safe city? Can we place employees over here? What will happen to our business continuity, right? Like, will my people be able to come to office? Will they be able to live a good life? So obviously it does not send a good message from an ease of doing business. It does not send a good message in terms of, is this city investment worthy? But I agree with the other panelists. This would happen in any city in India which sees a doubling of population in the space of 2 or 3 decades, will face exactly these kind of issues. And it goes back to the way we run city governance, which is completely broken. And the way the BBMP has been run is an absolute shame. And all political parties, including Congress and BJP, should be held accountable for that. There have been no elections to our municipal body. The municipal body has the powers that they have are extremely unclear. There are multiple word salad agencies like BWSSB and BESCOM, which hold different parts of the infrastructure in their hand. And the result is there for all to see.
Right. Saurabh Kumar, these are a number of things that happen. And again, it's not only a Bengaluru story, it's just that it happens repeatedly and way more frequently in Bengaluru. But it's the same story in every city, right? But sort of when it'll rain, the water will recede, then whatever those roads that have been constructed, badly constructed, there'll be potholes, there'll be a fresh set of problems. Do you think that this is a never-ending cycle that Bangaloreans will get to see, with no end in sight? I mean, what's the solution to this?
Interesting question, to be really honest. Potholes, when we started almost 6 years back, same question was asked to us. And even now that, how long can we continue fixing pothole? And the reality is it will go on. But the beauty lies in how well can we do it. As of now, if you ask me honestly, this year compared to last year, if the amount of complaints that we've been receiving, has it increased? The answer is of course a yes. Do we see the same orientation from different cities? The answer again is yes too for that. Being in the limelight always causes trouble. So yes, here we are discussing about the issues which are not really good at this point of time. But as an organization, we have always focused on solving the problem and coming up with innovative solutions with respect to the current scenario. And that we continue to do. We definitely don't want to see this happening quite often. We would definitely want to see more advancement in technology which can enable us, forecasting the issues much better and also solving the issues on time. I think we have to take that route, and that is only going to help us. And this will happen only when citizens and the authorities, everybody come together and start solving the problem. It cannot be solved by just one party. Let me be very honest and blunt about this. If we are living in this world thinking that the government alone can solve this problem, I think we cannot see that happening in the near future. Not in Bangalore, not in Mumbai, not in Gurgaon, not in any tier 1 city. So it's a very good message for us that the upcoming, because of COVID, a lot of tier 2, tier 3 cities are getting developed. Can we make that right from the beginning? As my co-panelist from WRI was telling that this will continue to happen. So can we make the other cities much more better than what we have as of now over here?
Yeah, so you've already given up on Bangalore, is it?
Not really. I mean, we don't believe in giving up at all. If that was the thing, we would have stopped our services and operation in the city. But we continue to do our work. We continue to also educate the fraternity. We also continue to show that things can be done, and things can be done in a much better way. Technology can be adopted, and the issues can be mitigated.
Okay,
That's
use of technology. This was an interesting suggestion that came in last time also, which was not very long ago, just a month ago. Ms. Priya, I want to come to you now. Priya Chetty Rajagopal. As a concerned citizen, do you feel that this is all over, or can it be remedied, and how? As I said, you can't dismantle or blow up the buildings.
No, you can't, Sanket. So I will speak to you with two hats. One as a very vocal and a very passionate Bangalorean. Will we come out of it? Of course we will. Are we a sinking city? I would have my concerns about how that's portrayed. And the other hat is of a person who's watching very preventable things absolutely ruining their city. So it's very painful to watch. And as you rightly said, pre, during, or post monsoon, I think the kind of rampant down in infrastructure has been horrible. So these two hats will really define how I'm reacting to your question. Bangalore is a magnet, and I think when we are talking about Bangalore and how we are portrayed globally, at this point, the focus is on Bangalore and the city and the citizens, not necessarily, as a global pull, because we have to look within for a little while to solve issues. How we come across, it's like, getting your house ready for guests to come in. Right now is just keeping your house in order. We're not so worried about, how companies view us, because the city has to be looked at. The second thing is, with the infrastructure crumbling as it is, the constant going back to the courts to make decisions is really, really frightening. I think that part of it, and now however naive we can be as citizens, constant coming across this institutionalized greed, as it were, this whole 40% nonsense that has been going on. It really means that the more we are in trouble, the more pressure there is to build more, and the more pressure there is to, keep that cycle going. And I think bad roads are a classic example of how the infrastructure feeds a very, very wrong kind of construction and just keeps generating more and more funds for the wrong sources. However cynical that sounds, that has to be addressed, and we cannot keep going back to the courts again and again. Recently, and I also want to be able to stress that even if a penalty is put in, and I think NGT put a huge penalty on several builders for taking over a lake about 5 years ago, and that penalty has not even been collected. So what does it say about us in terms of doing the right thing, and if not being done, then penalizing what has been done wrong? 4 or 5 days ago, NGT has fined the government 500 crores for polluting and taking over Chandrapur Lake, 2,900 crores for waste management issues. So my question is, where is the fear? Where is the concern for the citizens? And these two things have to be looked at. And the last context would be how we come across globally. Because this city is essentially for its citizens, people who live here. As you rightly said, they come from all over India, they come from all over the world. They live here, they've put in roots, they have bought houses. And the picture that you have shown, the animation, is frightening, because it's like black veins of poison going through the city. And if you look at the original, which is Kempegowda's plan for the city, I mean, the whole idea of high grounds and the lakes going down, it seems almost like a magical, Narnia land of a long time ago. But coming away from all that, I think, yes, we have an issue. 2 months from now, are we going to be having the same conversation? Perhaps not, because we are probably on the last cycle of the monsoon. But what we have seen is the highest rainfall ever, and we have seen the worst breakdown of the city.
But Ms. Priya Chetty, you see, the thing is, and I want to now go back to Raj Bhagat. You speak to any person in the weather department or experts, and they will tell you that this is a global phenomenon. Yeah. You are having a weird situation thanks to climate change, where cities and areas are getting a month of rainfall in a day.
Yeah.
Right? So this is the new reality. So what do we do? If this is going to happen, until such time you don't upgrade your infrastructure to be able to match this new change, which is, has started happening more over the past 1 decade. Will we see this over and over again? I mean, should we not start preparing for that 1 day a month, that you have some emergency mechanism that steps in? Short of destroying or removing these buildings, this can surely be done.
I mean, it's not going to be, very often. It is going to be, see, Bangalore's rainfall pattern has been like highly localized, meaning that when one part of Bangalore is going to receive very high rainfall, another part might not. So rainfall records and how we see extreme rainfall, that is actually very different with respect to Bangalore. What we have to worry about is not just climate change or not just the extreme rainfall. Even for a normal, these 10 centimeter rainfall events are not extreme actually. These are pretty much possible in Bangalore situation. So it doesn't require an extreme rainfall for Bangalore to be flooded, as this is true with any Indian city, by the way. But there are so many structural problems that we have not addressed. So climate change is a problem, but it is not the problem that is there right now. what we are seeing is that our cities in Indian context actually require very less amount of rainfall itself for it to fail.
Collapse, yeah.
For the infrastructure to fail. To address that, I mean, that is where the planning and the structural documents come into play, the statutory documents of master plan, or it can be the stormwater drain master plan, etc., etc. That is where we have failed. I mean, even now we don't have a vision for Bangalore how it should look like 5 years from now or 10 years from now while addressing this issue. So I mean, in the sense like everyone talks about ground level execution of construction of stormwater drains or better built up, etc., etc. But we don't have a plan for it, right? Like, so
okay.
how, I mean, removal of encroachment or punishing somebody, that is like a bad model that you are having. I mean, telling them that this is the bad way to live. That is okay, but what is the good way? Do we have that plan ready, right? Like, so that is where our cities in India are failing. We don't have the exact vision, a strategic plan for the city, a master plan for the city, operational documents for all these line departments, which include stormwater, drains, etc., etc. We don't have that. If we have that, we can start adhering to it, and it will take 5 to 10 years to reconstruct the entire city. Right? Like, so that is the amount of money and time that we have to spend. Correct. That is how you have to go, but those documents are not.
All of this, Mr. Prasad Bidappa, can be done if there is political will. And the way politics works is that if politicians know that this is a poll issue, then comes the political will, perhaps with a sense to appease for votes. Making this a poll issue, do you think this is too much to ask? Or once the rain will go away, so will the trouble, and it will never feature as a big issue?
Well, we've had successive governments who are responsible for the mess that we are in. It's not just the last one or the previous one, but it's been a collective failure.
Correct.
And we have too many organizations looking after Bangalore, 7 different organizations that cannot seem to coordinate and get their act together. It takes a lot more than political will. I think right now it's going to take citizens' will to get the whole thing moving. And it will be very, very difficult if it doesn't get moving, and if the Chief Minister doesn't take a very, very serious call. Instead of speaking about things like creating a twin city, all that's going to create is more, real estate. It's not going to solve any problems in original Bangalore. They have to get all the nodal committees together, all these bodies like the BBMP and the BDA and the water supply and sewerage.
I think, Mr. Bidappa, the whole concept of twin city, what it does is, number one, you're right, creates more real estate, but it also is with the intention of decongesting the main city. That is usually the point that is made, not just in Bengaluru, everywhere.
Sanket, that could be a separate plan. It does not have to be linked to the problems that Bangalore has now. Maybe as a future plan, it's a great idea to create, a depressurized kind of a new city that could become the technical hub, etc. Like Gandhinagar is to Ahmedabad. Things like that can happen, like Noida is to Delhi. So we could do that. But would that solve the problems that we have? We are pothole city. These are things that didn't come because of climate change. They came because of poor governance, poor administration, and corruption. Don't forget that corruption is a huge issue in Karnataka.
Correct, it is.
Today we are concerned that we are considered to be the #1 city when it comes to corruption. In a situation like that, where do we go to next? Who's going to clamp down on the corruption to get the rest of it moving? Or another 100 crores can be allotted to rejuvenating a lake, and 80% of that will disappear into somebody's pockets. So how do we deal with that? Where do we go to? We really need, I think, the current Chief Minister looks like a man who could get things done if he cracks the whip. If he stops
right now
trying
he's
to
battling allegations of being
everyone.
CM, but that is how things are. I don't know when we'll have this next conversation. It took us a month to have this conversation. It is repeating way too frequently, but thank you so much. Until next time, good night and goodbye.